What's up, everybody? It's your boy AT2 here, and we are talking politics tonight. What's up, everybody? What's up, beautiful? What's up, Darius? What's up, Cheryl? What's up, Miss AT Stan? We definitely got to get into some things because we got to talk about Trump and his cankles. He got that Wendy Williams feet. Look at that, y'all. That side by side. He got the Wendy. That fool got the Wendy. He ain't even got an ankle. Them are cankles right there. And yes, that's Wendy's feet on the left, by the way. And that's Trump's feet on the right. Lady cankles. Look at them shoes. Them shoes is like, oh Lord. He about to bust out them shoes, y'all. He doing bad. What's up, Claudette? He is doing bad. He got the Wendy's. So we're going to go ahead and pull up this article from CNN where they talk about it. So it's called chronic venous insufficiency. Something like that. Y'all, I'll let them explain it to you. Hold on. Let me pull it up here right now. Here we go. And this is his press secretary. Y'all know, we can't stand her.
About bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular.
So aspirin and handshaking is why his hands look the way they do. This is what they claiming, y'all. This is what they claiming. Handshaking and aspirin is what's causing the bruising. I already don't believe the shit they saying, but let's listen.
Prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here.
All right, let's bring in emergency physician Dr. Jeremy Faust to talk a little bit about what we are hearing there. Doctor, take us through this because it's really two things that we're hearing. Chronic venous insufficiency, AB9, I think I heard her say when it came to.
I think she was saying it's benign, like it shouldn't like affect him. I think that's what she was trying to say. But anyway, yeah, he definitely got the Wendy because also what I found out about venous insufficiency, it can lead to lymphedema. That's why his ankles are so swollen. It can lead to lymphedema. And you know, Wendy Williams, she has lymphedema. So, yeah. Of course, they're going to say, oh, Trump's in perfect health. They're not going to tell us the truth. But they had to say something because they noticed, okay, his cankles and they noticed the bruising on his hands. And you know, when you ain't got melanin like that, you can easily see bruising and stuff like that. So that's another thing. Don't forget that. Yeah, he got the Wendy's. That's what I meant. I shouldn't be calling it that, though. I know I'm going to hell. But I call it the Wendy's. That's what he got. All right, let's continue.
To the swollen ankles that have been observed. And then also she's saying bruising on the back of the hand due to aspirin regimen combined with a lot of handshaking. Take us through this.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. First thing, I think that we're just hearing a lot of medical jargon such that even you're just mentioning a benign. I think you're hearing her just saying a benign condition. A benign condition is what is
a benign and common condition,
which is great, right? But it's always good to unpack all of these terms. So what happened here was good medical care so far, and it's basically not alarming information, and it's not surprising. The president is an older man. I believe he just turned 79 years old. He has had risk factors for this condition that they're talking about, which is called chronic venous insufficiency. And what that really means is that the blood that goes out of the heart has to return to the heart through the veins. And as we age, some of that blood flow back to the heart, that's called venous return, just slows down in some patients more than others. And that can lead to things like swelling. That can look like things that many people would be familiar with, like varicose veins.
That sounds kind of serious. So the blood isn't pumping to the heart, and that's what's called, I don't know. That sounds serious to me, y'all.
So this is a pretty normal part of aging, and especially for someone in the overweight to obese category, which is where the president has always been. And but the bigger concern, which was addressed in that information that we just heard about, is that symptoms like this do need to be evaluated for more serious conditions, and that is what happened.
And I want to bring in cardiologist Dr. Bernard Ashby as well to this conversation, because to Dr. Faust's point, as the White House press secretary laid out, there is no evidence of deep vein thrombosis.
Listen, he's dying from the inside out. All that evilness has finally caught up to him. And just like somebody said in the chat, he was talking about Joe Biden. Look, and like, that's the thing. Like, when they talk about Joe Biden's old and all this other stuff, right? Him and Trump only about 3 years apart. Like, they're on the same level. Trump is not a young guy at all.
Or arterial disease in what they laid out, even with this diagnosis of chronic venous insufficiency. Can you just break down what the concern may have been or would have been if there was deep vein thrombosis, and why the need to make that distinction was necessary? We might be having some audio issues, but Dr. Faust, can if you're still on the line, can I just pose that same question to you, just about the deep vein thrombosis and why that distinction is necessary?
Yeah, this is the important thing. When people have symptoms, they want to get looked at to find out if there's a danger, or whether it's a relatively less dangerous, benign condition that's just causing some discomfort. And as stated, a deep vein thrombosis is what the concern would be. That is an abnormal blood clot. Our blood is always on this balance between how thick and thin it should be, and we have amazing bodies that keep our blood in a really narrow range of how thin or thick it should be for our own safety. Too thin, you bleed too much. Too thick, you make clots, which blocks off blood supply to vital organs. And so when if your blood is a little too thick,
and it definitely could be due to the flying too as well. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Or a little too slow in terms of getting back to the heart, which is this condition that the president does have. These blood clots can start to accumulate in places where they're not supposed to, or get too large to be safe. And the concern there would be, when that blood clot occurs, that it can actually then break off of the vessel where it's forming, usually in the legs, and travel up back to the heart. And then when it gets pumped back out, it can cut off blood supply chiefly to the lungs, but it can also go other places depending on individuals' anatomy and abnormalities. But these dangerous blood clots, they can be very dangerous. Some people can get these conditions diagnosed. They're called pulmonary embolisms in the lungs, blood clots of the lungs. And they can be benign and they can be treated. But some of them can be life-threatening. So it's an amazing spectrum of illness that we diagnose in ERs, where people have.
Listen, he got health insurance; he'll be okay. But I wanted to bring that to you guys about his cankles and what's going on. honestly think that even if it is bad, they wouldn't tell us. Even if it is bad to the point where, like, oh, he needs to really take a break, he needs to sit, they wouldn't tell us. They wouldn't let us know. We will wake up one day and they'd be all like, the president is not alive anymore. Like, that's how bad they'll let it get. And that's why I'm also happy about this Epstein stuff, because, yeah, keep putting the pressure on him. He should not be able to sleep peacefully. And that's not a threat to him. That's not a threat. Let's be clear. I'm not threatening him, but because of how evil he is, he should not be able to sleep. He should be haunted by the stuff that he has done in the past. But before I get to the Epstein, because I'd rather end with that because I want to talk about Democrats and all that stuff. But let's go to Stephen Colbert. As you guys may or may not know, Stephen Colbert, his show is ended next year. It will be his last season. Now, I'll be honest, I don't watch any of the late night shows. It's not my shtick. But they said it was due to financial reasons. Well, what's interesting, Joy Reid, who went through her own controversy, you see here, Colbert was the highest rated show in late night, or still is. 2 million, 2.4, 1.7 for Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, 1.2. Like, he has the biggest show. And you're saying that it's due for financial reasons. Now, what I'm wondering, does he get paid more? But no. I don't even think it's about the pay, you guys. There was a monologue. You know how these late night shows do a monologue? Well, there was a monologue that might have led to his firing. And I don't know if CBS or Paramount is going to strike me, but y'all, it's worth it. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. It's worth it if they do strike me. Let me pull it up right here. Because don't forget, Paramount played, well, the whole CBS 60-minute interview. Remember, he sued them because they said the interview with Kamala was edited, but it was shortened to fit that hour space that they usually do, right? Well, he claimed that they try to change her answers or whatnot. It was all a lie, but they ended up settling because, you know, Paramount, they're trying to sell, and basically the administration can stop or block them from being able to sell Paramount. So, but this is the monologue that I believe this is why they want to get rid of his show. Here we go, y'all. Let me blow it up, blow it up, blow it up, blow it up, make it bigger. Here we go. Fair use. This is fair use. The Act of 19. What is it? No, Miss Italian saying that makes a lot of sense. Financial is political because they had to pay out that 16 million. So now they can say, oh, well, we don't have any more money. Yo! Mind you, I did not watch this whole thing, but he just said it right now. He predicted his own demise. Wow. Right, do the right thing. He told us. And mind you, this was before he found out right there. I think I got away with enough. But yeah, there you go. He said it. He predicted, like, yeah, they were going to come after him. The rumors are true. This was very political. You can say financial, okay, whatever. But yeah, very political. This was, yo, we need to please Trump and we need to make him happy so we can go ahead and sell it. Sell Paramount. And Stephen Colbert, he predicted it. He knew it. And I'm so surprised nobody has talked about that. Like, he already knew it was already in the cards that they were probably going to cancel his show or there's be some kind of backlash. Like, we don't want you talking about Trump. And the sad part is that you see a lot of the media, oh, you can't talk about Trump, or like they don't, like, let's just say this. Back in 2016, when Trump got in, or he was elected, it seemed like there was like this resistance. Remember, they would always talk about the resistance. Where is the resistance? I don't see that anymore. Everybody is capitulating to Trump. They literally stuck in his orange balls. Like nobody is standing up to him. And it's all like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand what the difference was between last time and this time. It's almost all like people said, oh, well, he won again. So I guess this is what the people wanted. No, 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 no. This is not what the people wanted. I feel like this last election, and we've been talking about all the things around the last election and stuff like that. Anytime there's some kind of article or some kind of video done about the manipulation of the numbers, allegedly, we talk about it on the show, right? So with that being said, I'm not so convinced that the election was so fair. But even with that being said, even when you look at the numbers, technically more people voted for the other candidates than they did Trump. There was more votes for the other candidates. So that includes Kamala, Jill Stein, all those other people than they did Trump. Usually when you win the popular vote, you win it by, a landslide where you have the majority of the votes. He technically got the majority as far as like the electoral college, but not the popular vote. So again, most of the country, and I think this is where more people lie, they're so tired of politics and they're so turned off by it more than they love Trump. I'm going to repeat that again. More people are upset with politics than they love Trump. This election was basically a backlash into, we don't feel that the system is working for us, and so we feel this way, then F everybody. That's what it was. But the thing is, no matter what, Republicans will always vote for Republicans. They always will. The View was told not to talk too much trash. I heard something about that. Yeah, I think I read like an article about it. Yeah, and so many people did not vote. Exactly. And that's why I brought up the Republican thing, because they never have like a I don't want to say they never do, but they have no problem voting for whatever candidate they feel like they need to vote for. They don't do this purity test shit. Like they all like, okay, we know that we need to win in order to get our shit in there. And they use that vessel, aka the president, to get their shit that they need done. And not these litmus tests like you have to be 100% perfect. Nobody is perfect. If you want somebody perfect, then you run for office. Right? Yeah, but shout out to Stephen Colbert. I'm definitely going to check out his show now more often just because, that's how you get the revenge. You make sure that you support the people that are being targeted. Show them love, watch their show, rewatch it, promote it, do all that. That's how you really make a change. So again, we'll see. All right. So we want to go ahead and move on to Trump and the Epstein thing. So the Wall Street Journal had posted Trump's letter to Jeffrey Epstein, right? Mind you, beforehand, he was told about it and said, oh, it was fake and this and that. He told Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox, the Wall Street Journal. He owns all that. The Wall Street Journal is right-leaning. It is not a left-leaning Democratic run. No, it's not. It's right-leaning. So what that lets me know, they had something. They really had something. It wasn't just this conspiracy theory or anything like that. No. They really had something. They knew, yeah, this is a legit letter. This is a legit letter from Trump. This is not something made up. So what I find interesting, so basically the letter it wasn't like he admitted to being a creep or anything like that. It wasn't nothing like that. But I think more or less it was to show like he has a connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Like they're one in the same. Like these people were homies. until a bad business deal went down in 2004, and that's why they're not friends. Mind you, the years that Jeffrey Epstein was doing his due was around the years that he was with Trump. Everything circles back to Trump. This is why they are trying to suppress the whole release of the files, because they know Trump's name is probably mentioned more than just once, a whole bunch of times. This is why Trump is always like, oh, well, you know, there could be fake letters and stuff like that. There could be fake information, fake names in there. It's almost like he read it already. And I think he did read the files. He knows what's in there. This is why he's saying, oh, the Democrats, Obama, Comey, who he fired, Maureen Comey, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, they faked the files. It's the Epstein hoax. It's all of a sudden it's a hoax. Well, hell, if it was a hoax, why did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself? You know, if it was a hoax, wouldn't he have fought it in court? Let me pull up this next video, you guys. Because now Trump is suing the Wall Street Journal, so. And please go ahead and hit that like button if you guys haven't. Subscribe to the channel. All right, here we go.
Amid the ongoing firestorm over the administration's handling of Justice Department files on notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, the president filing a $10 billion libel lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal's parent company, owner Rupert Murdoch, and the reporters behind its article, describing an album prepared by Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, for his 50th birthday back in 2003. According to documents the Journal says it reviewed, the album contained letters from Trump and dozens of Epstein's other friends and associates. NBC News has not independently verified the existence of the documents. The Wall Street Journal says the letter contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn, and says the text consists of an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein. The president strongly denying the report, saying, "This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story," adding, "I don't draw pictures of women. It's not my language. It's not my words." According to the Wall
I don't draw women. That's a weird defense of yourself. I don't draw. Like, huh?
Street Journal, the written dialogue of the imaginary conversation includes the lines, "Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Donald, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Vice President Vance slamming the...
And Waffles, thank you for your comment. Shout out to Mims. I gotta check out his video. But said Mims did a live 2 hours ago and looked up enigma. It also means naughty girls or street urchin. See? Yeah, Trump wrote that damn letter.
Report posting, "Where is this letter? Would you be shocked to learn they never showed it to us before publishing it? Does anyone honestly believe this sounds like Donald Trump?" All of it after that rare reversal from President Trump. Tonight, the Department of Justice asking a federal judge to unseal grand jury testimony related to Epstein, following this overnight post from the president. "Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I've asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval."
Listen, they're going to give out what they think the people want to see. But just know that whatever the court releases, they're going to thoroughly go through that and redact whatever they need to redact from the court, whatever the court approves from those testimonies. Trust me, they're not just going to let that shit just slide. Nah, they're going to come back for that. I'm telling you. They're going to make sure that they thoroughly go through it, redact whatever they need to redact from it before releasing it to the public.
By law, grand jury testimony is kept secret, with some limited exceptions. The president's sudden about-face, an attempt to silence an uproar from some of his most vocal supporters, who wanted all Epstein-related material to be released. The president had blasted those supporters as weaklings for falling for what he called a distraction pushed by Democrats.
The credible information's been given. It's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people.
And today, suggesting there was no damaging information on him.
You know what, Miss AT Lanshan? I just thought about that because remember he had like some files in his bathroom at Mar-a-Lago, right? And they had to go and get them. Like he wouldn't return them or anything like that. So they had to go down and get those files. What is some of the files that he had? Man, I didn't even think about that. That could have been. That's crazy thinking about it now.
Him in the files, posting, if there was a smoking gun on Epstein, why didn't the Dems who controlled the files for 4 years use it? Because they had nothing. The controversy heated up after Bondi repeatedly teased the release of Epstein files.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
But then the DOJ and FBI releasing a memo saying they had found no incriminating client list of Epstein's and that they would make no further disclosure.
And Garrett joins us tonight. Garrett, earlier this week, the president told you he had total confidence in Attorney General Pam.
Okay, so we can go ahead and stop sharing that. But yeah, I still believe that the Wall Street Journal, they verified the source and they verified the information, and that's why they continue with the story. But not only that, I was talking with my uncle about this earlier. Like, basically, I feel they kind of used Trump for what they needed him for, to push all these policies and everything. Because don't forget, Project 2025, that wasn't just that wasn't a new thing. Since Reagan, they've been trying to push Project whatever. You know, they just change whatever the year is, but they've been trying to push this Project whatever. It just happened that Trump, now that they had full power, they were able to push this whole Project 2025 through. So he was used, like I said, as a vessel to get what they want. But since Reagan, they have tried to push Project whatever through. So that wasn't a new thing. Now that they got everything that they want, because trust me, it's only going to get crazier. Mind you, this is just the first year, but it's going to get crazier because, again, 2026, even though we have been disappointed with the Democrats and everything like that, the Republicans are going to piss more people off and make them want to vote. Remember 2020? I know we were all stuck at home and all that stuff, but don't forget, people were pissed. And when the people are pissed, that's when you really will see the change. And I know it's kind of been teased because every 250 years, like, a nation crumbles. Have y'all heard about that? Like every 250 years. And so next year is America's 250th year. And so, you know, there's supposed to be like this awakening. And I don't know, y'all. I can't speak all into that. But, you know, I do believe that something is brewing. And like I said, Trump is literally rotting from the inside out. So also why I think that the Republicans have used Trump for everything that they can use him for is now they want to release the Epstein files. Because remember, just this week, they voted no. So now they're on board and they sponsored a bill to go ahead and release it. So let's go ahead and this. And this clip is from CNN. Here we go.
The judicial system is not slowing the challenges for the Jeffrey Epstein story that have been created for him inside Congress. There's a bipartisan push underway right now to demand the release of all the Jeffrey Epstein files that is underway in the House. So far, it's got 10 Republican co-sponsors that include some of the president's most vocal supporters, as you can see here. Republican Congressman Thomas Massey tweeted, "Folks, keep the pressure on. It's working, but we want all the files." The leading Democrat on that legislation is my source tonight, California Congressman Ro Khanna, and it's great to have you here, sir. I wonder, when it comes to what the White House is pushing for now, after facing so much pressure to release parts of the grand jury testimony that can be released, do you think that's a good start?
It is a good step, and they obviously are responding to what Thomas Massie and I are doing in Congress and the fact that there are 10 Republican co-sponsors. The problem is, Caitlin, that most of those grand jury evidence files are concerned Epstein and Maxwell. They aren't concerning all of the rich and powerful men who may have engaged in illegal conduct. And the second problem is that
ding, 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 ding. Didn't I just say they're going to try to redact? But actually, he just said it. Like, those are in the testimony is in regards to Ghislaine and Epstein. Like, they're not like the victims, and they're not the victims, but they're not the people that they engage with or the clients or anything like that. Because again, Ghislaine, she actually was just charged with everything to do with Epstein. She wasn't actually charged with, like, okay, you also trafficked these girls to different men and stuff like that. Her charges were against just Epstein. So even with that being said, there's still some there's a way that they prosecuted this in order to have it just focus on Epstein and not really, as far as the whole picture of, like, okay, they did X, Y, and Z, and they did all, to this person, they went here, and then there was another person that they hired to do this and that. So a lot of that stuff has been suppressed because they just focus literally on Epstein and not the full picture of, like Prince Andrew and all those other people. So again,
that is subject to a court's order, whereas there's a lot that the Justice Department has in terms of interview memorandum, in terms of texts and emails that is in their own discretion to release, and they can do that while protecting the victims.
When it comes to what the push is for on Capitol Hill, with the number of co-sponsors that you have, can't you force a vote come September?
We can. In fact, we could have probably forced it earlier, and the speaker is well aware of this, and that's why I think he's going to adjourn us early next week, because they don't want the 7 days to take place. Massie and I introduced the bill. It has to sit there for 7 days before we can have the discharge petition. So as soon as we come back from recess, we will have the votes. We will have all 212 Democrats. We have 10 Republicans right now who've co-sponsored, and none of them have taken their names off since President Trump has made the statement about the grand jury. And I expect that we're going to get more Republicans engaging in and co-sponsoring this.
Okay, so you're saying you will force a vote come September.
So my thing is that I feel that right now they're kind of doing the whole shuck and jive, and they're trying to prove, like, oh yeah, we care about the victims, so we're going to go ahead and release the files. But whatever Trump says, they're going to do. If he says, hey, y'all better kill that bill, they will kill the bill. Let me tell you, we've seen it before.
I want you to listen. You mentioned Speaker Mike Johnson. This is what Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi had to say about how this whole saga is playing out.
Again, this is a distraction. This is a distraction. We have major issues right here with things we're voting on today in the Congress. Again, in terms of the rescission that the President and the Senate have sent back over us to cut all of these resources out of helping poor people throughout the world, to America play its leadership role in soft power to keep us safe and to keep us healthy, so that viruses know no boundary. And instead, we're talking about about this thing, and his own base has its own views of what the president should do. I'll leave it up to them to talk it out.
Are you contributing to what she says is a distraction?
Well, not only is it not a distraction, it's one of the most important issues. I'll tell you 3 reasons why. First, there are a lot of Democrats.
I wish Nancy would just shut the hell up. And we're going to get, because again, this kind of goes into the topic why Democrats should care about it. Let's continue though.
Say fight, fight, fight. How about fight smartly and strategically? This is the first time in my memory that you have actually legislation that is splitting the MAGA base. When else, on any scandal, on any issue, have you had Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, Tim Burchett, Lauren Boebert, all align with Democrats to say Donald Trump isn't doing what he promised? Second, this is about who do you trust in government? Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of protecting rich and powerful people who have had too much sway, too much influence for decades? Are you against this corrupt system, or are you going to protect them? And so I think it goes to the fundamental issue of trust in government, and is the Democratic Party going to be a populist party?
So why didn't
So here's the thing. I always go to why should you care, right? And I don't think Epstein is the end all be all. It's not like, okay, we get the files released and now that's it. The world is great. Well, America is great again, and we don't have to worry about anything else going on. Because again, they passed through that big, beautiful bill and all that bullshit, right? But I think this is one of the things, because again, Democrats don't have any power. They don't. But if Republicans are on board to release this, okay, well, why not? Let's go ahead and, the people want that transparency. Now, again, I don't think this is necessarily going to change any votes as far as like MAGA is going to change their mind if they find out Trump is a pedophile. Honestly, they don't give a damn. They know Trump ain't shit. They didn't care when he said grab him by the pussy. They didn't care that he was found liable. They don't care about the 34 counts, the felony conviction. They don't care about any of that. They don't care about racism, sexism, misogyny. They don't give a damn about that. These people have literally gave you their ass to kiss, and some of them, they gave you their oxygen tank to kiss because, again, their health care is getting cut off, and they're like, I voted for Trump. Okay, well, you're going to be dead, so you don't have to worry about your health care anymore. But anyway, you can't help stupid. Stupid is going to say stupid. However, I do believe that this will show that the Democrats are about transparency, because for the longest time, and this is why MAGA, it's a bigger picture, you guys. MAGA has all the conspiracy theorists, the Pizzagate, the Illuminati, all this other stuff. They have those conspiracy theorists in the party. Epstein was one of the big things because, again, MAGA was pushing for the release of the files because they're under the impression that all the Democrats and only Democrats are on the files. Even though Trump is pictured with Epstein, right? They just believe in their sick head that only the Democrats are on there. And I think more Democrats are like, okay, well, we don't care who's on there. If they're Democrats on there, then yeah, they need to get their ass up out of there and go to jail. But with the Republicans, they cannot see, or let me say MAGA, they cannot see that Trump has a connection to this man. They don't believe that he's on the list. You look at the Megyn Kellys, the Benny Johnsons, the Candace Owens. Even though they're pushing for the Epstein files to be released, they're still stating, oh, well, I don't think he's on it. Like, I just don't trust it. Like, I've heard from people that he's not on it. Okay, well, why did the DOJ fire Maureen Comey? And I need you guys to stop thinking they fired her over Diddy. So even if she did bomb the Diddy case, right? You're telling me that would override her getting the convictions of Ghislaine Maxwell, and then Jeffrey Epstein, he murked himself, allegedly. So you couldn't get that one. But you think about the big cases that she has been successful in, and the Diddy one, even though it wasn't a total fail because she did get 2 convictions, but I don't believe they would just fire her over that. This is a personal matter because, again, she was fired by the DOJ, Trump's DOJ. So at the end of the day, they got rid of her because, well, one, I believe because her father, James Comey, who Trump fired in 2016, and then 2, because she prosecuted the Epstein and Maxwell. See how this all goes hand in hand? Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Democrats introduced this kind of legislation in the last 4 years.
Well, there are a couple of reasons. One, Donald Trump ran on this, and he said he was going to release the file, so he raised the stakes. Second, Pam Bondi went on national television and said that there was a Epstein list. Now, I know she's walking it back and saying she's just was talking about a file on her desk, but they have so raised the stakes of this that now ordinary Americans believe that rich and powerful people are being protected and that the government is hiding something. So it now has become an issue of trust. But you're right. We didn't raise it in Trump 1 or Biden until Donald Trump has made this a symbol for corruption in government.
Congressman Ro Khanna, thanks for your time tonight.
There's the other thing to this about why didn't the Democrats release it? They didn't run on that. They didn't run on that. In 2020, they didn't run on that. And again, just like you guys were saying, he died. And I've been saying this in every video we talk about Epstein. We talk about how he died while Trump was in office. If Trump cared, he could have already handled the situation. In 2020, when Joe Biden won, it was about getting the country back on its feet because we were so in dire straits because of COVIDiana. So when COVID happened, the country needed to get back on its feet. So there was a different mindset other than, oh, we need to release the Epstein files. And honestly, to tell you the truth, the Epstein files have never been like a big thing for me because I already knew, oh, Trump is on that list. That's why they don't want to release that. And not just Trump and, high-powered people are on that list. They're never going to release that. That's what I've always thought. But I never left Trump out that situation. I was all like, yeah, he's connected to this. And these people think like this man, basically what you're asking Trump to do is tell on himself. That's what you're asking. Please tell on yourself. But I think he should just go ahead and release it because here's my thing. If it's found out he was doing X, Y, and Z with Epstein, they're not going to care. They're not going to care. Don't think these podcasters, you see the Joe Rogans and Theo Von, don't think they're good people. They're not. They're shitty people. They literally do not care about any morals or values because here's the thing. If they had any morals or values, they wouldn't have voted for Trump. Because even if we take the whole Epstein shit out of it, we take that out, he's still a shitty person. So I don't understand, they don't have any moral, get that out of here. Like I said, I don't think it changed any votes. However, I do think that this will gain the Democrats' trust by them staying on top of this. And like I said, if they can get an easy win with this, then yeah, take that. All right, let's go back to the video. Let's see if they say anything else.
Thank you.
On 2 fronts tonight, we are seeing the president turn to the courts. First tonight, his Department of Justice has asked a judge for permission to release some, but not all, of the information they have related to Jeffrey Epstein. More on that in a moment. And second, and in an unprecedented move, we're seeing the president file a libel lawsuit accusing the Wall Street Journal, its parent company, and Rupert Murdoch himself of defamation. The president is furious over this article that published last night, alleging that he wrote a crude birthday message to Jeffrey Epstein more than 21.
Okay, yeah, we already heard about that. We don't want to hear that again. Okay, but yeah, like I said, push for it. I want to know what the files say. I want to know what's in the files. And again, let me just say this. It could be We don't find out anything. Like I said, I don't think there necessarily was a client list. I think within the testimony, there's a lot of damaging information. I think more or less that's what it really is, not this whole, oh, yeah, we got this long list of people on it. No, no, no. Basically, you got to put together the flight list and then different information of who he was with, the time periods, the dates. You have to put it all together. And there has been, a quote unquote list already out there. I forgot what website it's on, but there's like a list already out there. Somebody did the math and the timeline and try to piece things together. So, again, will we ever see the files? I don't know, but it is what it is. But keep that pressure. Keep your foot on his neck and keep requesting those files. Trump is literally it's that evilness, the inside out. This is why he's sick. When you've ever met mean people before, they're dying from the inside out because all that evilness within them, it comes out in their health. I'm telling you, it comes out in their health. All right, you guys, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I appreciate every single one of y'all for being here. I love talking politics, and I'm just glad that even though it's something where it's not about celebrity gossip, you guys are still here to support, and y'all really rock with me. I love y'all. Have a good night, but we out.